Since today is Monday and I do my grocery shopping on Monday, I am going to start with cleaning out the refrigerator. So I just go in and really do a detailed cleaning of my freezer. I spray it down with just a combination of vinegar and water, and I wipe down everything, all the shelves and everything. And this gives me an opportunity to see if there's anything that I need to use up. And then I also go through my refrigerator and wipe it out really well. So I wipe out my refrigerator every Monday before I go to the grocery store, but I just do like a quick wipe down and throw any leftovers away. But when I do my detailed cleaning, I really get in there and clean it really well. So I spray the vinegar and water mixture in here in each of these containers and just really wipe them well. I take out my drawers and wipe those. And because I do it on a rotation, it doesn't get really nasty, and because I'm doing it once a week as well, it doesn't get so filthy, but these do need to be sanitized, you know, sometimes and everything. And then I just kind of go through everything on the door. I take these shelves out. My shelves actually come out. I think most refrigerators they do, but I just take them out and wipe everything down really quickly, and this doesn't take me forever. I mean, we could spend probably an hour cleaning out our refrigerator, but I just move fast and wipe down everything quickly. I just wanted to share a little tip with you. You might already know this, but the magic eraser will get any little marks that you might have in your refrigerator. It works so well. I do use a cloth with the vinegar, but I just use this in case there's any, like, I don't think the camera is picking it up, but any little marks, you know, that rubbed off from the paint on the bag or something like that. The magic eraser also works great for any little grooves that you might have. It will just be able to get in there and get it a lot cleaner than just wiping it with a rag. Also, I'm going to straighten out the pantry and wipe down the shelves. So the refrigerator was the biggest job, and the pantry doesn't take me too long because I try to keep it nice and straightened. But I do like to wipe down the shelves and just, you know, kind of check everything over to see if I need to use up something quickly. So I'm just going to go through and wipe down each shelf and wipe down my canisters and just make sure everything's straightened out. I'm going to wipe out this thing that I have my potatoes in and this little bin here. And then I just straightened everything up on the door, and I wiped down my honey container and things like that, so it's all nice and clean and straightened. I cleaned out my husband's lunch bag just with vinegar and water, and I think that is a great thing to use for anything that your food is touching because you don't want harsh cleansers, and vinegar does a great job at disinfecting things. And I wiped down my canisters. This is a great time to fill up your canisters if you need to, or jot yourself a note that you need to pick up, you know, flour or sugar or whatever at the grocery store. I wiped all of this out. The next couple things that I'm going to do just take a few minutes, so I try to group one or two things that take a little more time along with a couple things that just take a few minutes. So I just straighten out this basket I have here. It's just on my counter right in there, and I just keep my phone and charger in there with scissors and pens and pencils and paper, and sometimes little things get thrown in here, so I usually just take this time to put them away. And there are a few screws in here, so I'm going to take those down and put them where they belong. I'm also going to wash my hot pads and oven mitts, so I just throw these in with the dark load of laundry, and I actually have one to put in, so those will just go right in there and get washed. And then I'm also going to wash both of my kitchen rugs separately, of course, and I'll just do that after I wash my dark load, and that completes my first day in Zone 1, the kitchen. For today's detailed cleaning, the first thing I'm going to do is take these plates and cups down from this shelf and wash those. I'm also going to take everything out of that pitcher there and wash that. and then I'm going to wash the outside of this. It has rice inside, so I just wait until that's empty to wash the inside. And then I also wash these bottles just because I do dust them when I do my dusting, but sometimes things, you know, while I'm cooking might splatter on there, so I just wash those really well. I also have these plates here, and I take those off the wall and wash those. The next thing I'm going to do is just wipe down the chairs really well, and I do a quick wipe of them after dinner just to get any crumbs, but sometimes dust and things get inside here, and I just do a really thorough job when I do my detailed cleaning. The next thing I'm going to do is wipe down the fronts of all of my cabinets, and I do this on a regular basis throughout the week, just if I see anything that might have dripped on there, or if they look a little dirty around the knobs or something. But I just wipe them down really thorough. I get the top so that, you know, no dust is at the top ledge there or anything. And then I just wipe down the front of these drawers and cabinets here and the ones above my stove over here. I also wipe out the inside of my cabinet, so I don't take every single thing out and, you know, spend forever wiping everything out. I just kind of move things around a little bit and wipe inside of there really quickly, and because I do it on a regular basis, it really is not dirty every time. You know, hardly ever is there anything even in there. We don't really keep food in here or anything, so there aren't crumbs, but you know, it would get dusty if I didn't do it on a regular basis, but because I do it often, it really just takes, you know, a couple minutes. Then when I get over to this cabinet, I take this down. It has all my spices on it because sometimes something will spill or whatever, and that way I can just make sure my spices are nice and neat and everything's clean. So I'll just take everything off and clean both the shelves in there. And then I also take all of my oils and vinegars off of this one and clean that as well. And then I just wipe down these cabinets in here. So I just go through all of my cabinets and wipe everything out in them. And then I straighten up my spices and wipe both levels of my spice rack. And just really, you know, clean everything up with vinegar and water. And I like using that because, you know, our food is touching all of this and we want to sanitize it, but we don't want to use harsh chemicals. I also take out all of my utensils and sanitize these and clean everything in there really well. And this drawer, you know, everyone's drawer would get dirty if you didn't clean it on a regular basis, but if you do it on a regular basis, it really doesn't get, you know, dirty. And we definitely want to keep our utensil drawers clean because obviously these are touching our food. And so I just go through both of my drawers and my cabinets and just wipe everything down really thoroughly with the vinegar water mixture, and that way it's nice and sanitized. For today's detail cleaning, I'm going to start by cleaning out my oven. And I took the racks out already. I'm going to scrub those down, but I just use a baking soda and apple cider vinegar mixture, and it kind of makes a paste. And I just brush that on and let it sit for a little while and then wipe it clean. And it does a really good job of cleaning the oven, and I don't have to worry about any harsh chemicals. I also removed the pots and pans from my drawer, and I just wipe this drawer out with vinegar and water just to sanitize it and get any crumbs that might have fallen in this drawer under my stove. I'm also going to wipe down the outside of my refrigerator. I usually just pull it away from the wall. Mine has wheels on the bottom, so it's very easy to move in and out. And I wipe down all of the outside of the refrigerator. I also am able to get the top of the refrigerator, and since it's pulled away from the wall, I can get the whole top where it goes underneath the cabinet there. And a magic eraser is a great thing to use for the outside of the refrigerator, especially the door handle where it has little grooves, and sometimes it's just impossible to get it really clean, but a magic eraser works really well. So I'll go ahead and do that. And then also, while I have my refrigerator pulled out, I pull out my stove as well, and I sweep the floor behind the appliances and then wash it. And I do this on my cleaning day because it gets dusty and there might be crumbs and things back there. And because I'm already going to wash the floor today, I just use this time to clean under the stove and the refrigerator, and I also wipe down the walls behind there. Also, while I have my stove pulled out, I wipe down the sides of the stove really well. And again, a magic eraser works really well if you have any scratches or anything on the sides of your stove. I'm also going to go around and wipe down all of the walls in the kitchen, as well as the baseboards and the corners where, you know, the mop might have missed when I mop my floors during my once a week cleaning. And that way it just gets nice and fresh and clean, and every area is getting touched during your detailed cleaning. For today's detail cleaning, I'm going to throw my placemats in the wash. I'm also going to wipe down my light fixture in here and wipe down my ceiling. I'm also going to clean under my sink, and I just take everything out really quickly and wipe it down really well. And then I clean out my cleaning supply basket, so I just wipe those down and get rid of anything that I no longer want in there. I also take my trash can out and sanitize that really well. I do wipe out my trash can sometimes when I take out the garbage if anything spills in there, so it's never really gross and disgusting, but I make sure that I sanitize it just so there aren't all kinds of gross germs in there. For today's detail cleaning, the first thing I'm going to do is fill up my rinse aid for my dishwasher. So I usually just use white vinegar. It works wonderfully, gets your dishes nice and shiny, and it's a lot cheaper than buying a rinse aid, and it's chemical free. So I fill that up, and then I also clean my dishwasher. I usually start off by using a magic eraser and just getting in any little grooves that need to be cleaned. To clean my dishwasher, I just put 2 cups of white vinegar in a measuring cup, and then I just stick it in the top rack, and then I run it on the hottest setting, and this will sanitize your dishwasher and get it nice and fresh and clean. The next thing I do is clean my coffee maker. So I just wipe it down really well. I wash the pot. I also wash the filter inside, and then I run vinegar and water through the coffee maker. I use 1 part vinegar and 2 parts water, so I run that through and dump it out, and then I just run water through a couple times just to make sure that my coffee doesn't taste like vinegar. I have a few stainless steel pans, so I just put a little bit of vinegar in those, and then I just kind of swirl it around and use a dish rag and just wipe it down really well and wipe out the outside, and this just makes them nice and shiny and gets rid of any little watermarks that might be on there. I'm also going to wipe down the backsplash. I'm also going to clean my windows, and I'm not going to do a close-up because it's winter still here while I'm recording this, and none of the trees are filled in, and you can see all of the houses behind me, and I try to be really careful about giving away where I live. But what I do is I clean the inside of the windows and the track inside of the window, and if you notice, that gets really dirty pretty quickly, especially in the winter time. But in the spring and summer, when it's warmer out, I tilt the windows in and clean those. And that way I'm just doing a couple windows at a time, whichever room I'm doing my detailed cleaning in, and then I don't have a huge job. And because I'm doing them every 7 weeks or so, they don't get super filthy, and I don't have to take them out and, you know, do all kinds of things to get my windows clean, and it takes all day or anything like that. And then in each room, I have a couple things that I do on like a 6-month rotation. And in the kitchen, about every 6 months, I take down our curtains and wash those. I just don't think they need to be washed every 7 weeks. They'd probably fall apart. So I do that as well. I usually do that in January and July. So you could write that down as part of your zone work so that you remember to do that. So that completes all of the detailed cleaning in the kitchen. I hope you found this video helpful. Thank you so much for watching.